right, hey everyone. We wanted to take a quick poll of the audience so we can understand who's out there today. So how many of you are developing an app or a game and are currently seeking more knowledge about a publisher or wanting to work with a publisher? All right, so like half of you at least. How many of you are currently working with a publisher who've already worked one before and are just here to collect more information? Okay, so there's a few of you. And then how many of you are currently in the pitching process, like right now, or just about to get started? Okay, so like a quarter of the people here. Okay, sweet. Well, my name's Lee. I work for Oculus Publishing, Developer Relations, and I'm going to start with some intros. So I'm going to have Ed here introduce himself.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Ed Lago, and I'm the senior producer and biz dev at the Creature label. And we just launched our own title, Starship Home, this morning, 10 a.m. So please check out.
Yep, I'm Patrick Liu. I'm head of publishing at Fast Travel Games. We are not launching any game today.
Hi everyone, David Corliss, VP of Publishing at Endreams, publishing a game next month.
Hi everyone, my name is Maiva Sponbergs. I'm head of publishing for Beyond Frames. I am launching a game today as well, Escaping Wonderland, out now.
So by the end of today's panel, you should feel better informed, more comfortable about the ins and outs of working with a publisher, how to pitch them, what they're looking for versus not, and then just understand the publisher's perspective, when they're evaluating a pitch. The goal is you basically understand how to increase your chances when pitching a game, given today's market. So, knowing that, our first question. What are the must-haves to include in a pitch, and what would make you reject a pitch? Let's have Ed start.
So I could start with that. So one thing that we see a lot, people forget to put the ask in the budget. So that's actually really helpful. When you see the budget, you see the ask, so we don't lose a lot of time to properly evaluate the project. And another thing that I see that would be a really good must-have is the experience of the team. If you are a new developer, it's always good to provide more information about what kind of a previous experience you had. And if you're a seasoned developer, please put the cool stuff you developed before. Apps, games, it doesn't matter. We just want to check out how legit you are, right? And in terms of reject a pitch, at least for us at Creature in this moment, what would make us reject is when we see a pitch deck that the scope and the size of the project doesn't make sense with the experience of the team. This is something it's kind of easy to see when some teams dreaming too big. We know the team's not going to be able to achieve. It doesn't matter how much money we can put on that. And another thing I would say, if a project doesn't make sense in VR, but things are changing a lot now. The store is open to all kinds of content, so I'm not going to say never, but for now, these would be the two factors we would reject.
From our point of view, I think also scope sizes in your pitch is really helpful, especially in this climate and now with the open store as well. Scoping out your project in different sizes, I think, is really, really helpful for us, and it's something that we're looking at more and more in pitches today. I had a good friend who once said that, think of it as your Starbucks order. Would you like a small, medium, or large coffee? I think it's a very good way to pitch us at this point in time, because if we get options where we can take you into early access and help you with that, we can very quickly get validation on your projects and then adjust for that going forward. Developing in isolation right now and going into a black box doesn't help anyone. We need to get games into hands of players as soon as possible to know that we're doing is the right thing and adjust our path going forward from there. And I think also knowing your audience when you're pitching us, at least have a sense of who do you think will play your game. There's several ways to do this. You can, if you're unfamiliar with marketing practices, you can just look at other games and at least pick a few of them and pick what specific feature in that game that you feel that you want to hit. If you explain that to us in a good way, then we have a pretty good sense of who your audience is, in your mind at least, when you're pitching us. I think that is helpful. Rejecting pitches, I think unrealistic expectations, just to go off what Ed said before, is really, really a deterrent for us. And it could be on time or on budget and scope size. And also, we do not want to see a Porsche in your budget. We know usually, depending on where the team comes from, which country and what experience levels, we can see what your basic run rate is when we get your team sizes. We know when there's a Porsche in there, so don't do that. But on the inverse, please do budget for unexpected events. We like that. We like to see that stated in the pitch, that if unforeseen events happens, this is what we've allocated for that event. It helps us a lot.
Great. Some really interesting tips there with regards to budget specifically. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about what are the most important factors you consider when signing a title?
I can go. I think there are a few things that are pretty important. One thing is like, is there a product market fit? Like, is there a reasonable amount of people that want to pay for what you're making? And of course, that requires a lot of analysis and forecasting and whatnot. So that's something we do on our end as well. Like, you don't need to provide your forecast. It's usually like 99% of the time you're forecasting much higher than we do. You probably have a lot more confidence in your app than we have. And then I would say, secondly, more like, does it make business sense for us? Or rather, do our business goals align with each other? Like, so different publishers or different other parties have different goals, and you guys also have your goals, and they don't always align. It's not like something is right or wrong, but maybe one publisher, their direction is only to do action games, and you're pitching a puzzle game. So obviously that doesn't align. Or that one party has more maybe short-term goals that they want to make a quick buck perhaps, or the other party has more longer-term view on things, and that doesn't align either. So it's really about alignment. If you guys can work together for a long time. And then thirdly, I would say that we need to have some confidence that you can deliver on the promise of your app. Like, what can you do or say to convince us that no, we have what it takes to actually ship this title? I think those are like the big ones, really.
Cool. I think Patrick's covered most of it there, but there's a couple of things that we find important when we're signing titles. I think one of them is a connection with the team. That's as much for us as a publisher. We need to have a connection with you as a team, but you guys should have a connection with us. Whether you go to, whether it's a Creature or FTG or Beyond Frames or Endreams, we all offer pretty much the same services. We're all probably pretty much as good as we are. We're best in the business. That's why we're here. But you find the connection with us. I think that's really important. I was joking earlier, like the vibes of it, but it's something. You're going to be spending a long time developing that game, and there's going to be ups and downs. So making sure that you get on with the publisher is, I think, super important. And the other one, kind of to that as well, when we sign a game, we have to be passionate. You want to see the passion from us as a publisher, that we love your game as much as you guys love it, because you're putting your heart and soul into it. And you can't fake that. You can't fake the passion, because, yes, we're here to make money and it needs to be commercial and we need to do all the data stuff that, you were talking about. But make sure that you love the game. And that's kind of what we say at Endreams. We have to be as passionate about that game as you guys are. And I think when we find the one that we want, it all comes out, and it's really obvious. So what I'm kind of saying here is it's a two-way street. You know, it's not just what we need, but you guys should be focusing on what you want and who you're working with, and making sure that there is that connection and that they love the game and they're not just there to make the numbers up. So,
Right. It's a long-term relationship, so it's pretty important. But what about a playable? That's what I want to ask you guys next. Is do I need a playable to pitch a publisher? And what if I don't have one? You know, how fleshed out does it need to be?
So I can jump in this one. So at least for us, it depends of the experience of the team. Definitely, if you're a seasoned developer, I think we'll definitely sign with someone who's just like showing a pitch, because we know the chops of the team, we know what they delivered in the past. But when it's a new team who maybe never worked in VR or something like that, we would be expecting a playable and a prototype. How fleshed out should be, I don't think it needs to be that, you know, the quality doesn't need to be that high, but you definitely need to focus in the core mechanics or the core ideas of the app or the game, so you can have the confidence that, okay, you're trying to sell me, this is the pitch, I'm gonna check the playable, I need to focus on that, because if you try to sell me something else, there's a disconnection, right? And what if I don't have one yet? Again, it depends of how good you think you are in doing a pitch deck. Like, you know, you're not experienced, maybe you know how to sell, but we're definitely gonna be like, can this person actually deliver it? And then when we fall in this mixed, ambiguous, I think it's more harder to actually keep going with the conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I think I understand. Like sometimes it can be a little bit of a catch-22. Like we want to see a playable to sign the game, but then you actually need some money to actually build that prototype. But I think maybe, you know, as publishers, maybe we're not that party to fund your prototype. Like, I think that very early stage, there are other sources of funding. I know, for example, like you guys have Ignition that's focused specifically on that. But I think at the end of the day, like, you know, we're humans, believe it or not, and so like, how do you convince another human that you have the right thing, right? So the first impression you make is really important. Even if we can kind of squint and imagine what it can become, like we've seen so many prototypes, we've seen so many pitches, you know, we can extrapolate to a certain degree, but if you make a good first impression, that goes a very long way.
Great. Thank you. All right, so this is a really meaty one. I know that everyone at this conference who is involved in building Quest apps or games is gossiping with each other about this, you know, trying to figure it out, right? Our store has changed a lot, so I think we have time actually for everybody to give an answer if you'd like to. So given the new open ecosystem, what are your words of advice to navigate the new store? I really want to know what you guys are going to say. So.
Absolutely. It is a new principle to adhere to, but there's a few things to remember. And I think organic marketing is one of the key parts of store management, and it's always been. But remember that more carefully today. Pushing people into your PDPs and into the store has never been as important as today. And remember that you have a lot of great tools in your dashboards that are actually really, really helpful. So educate yourselves on those tools and talk to your DevRels if you don't understand them and really get to know them well. Use them. And specifically A/B testing is extremely important, I think, because if you spend a lot of time on pushing people into your product page and can't convert them, then you need to understand why. And I know that A/B testing is really hard sometimes if you've tried it already for your apps. I know that you quite often get statistically insignificant results. That's a lot of words for a non-English speaker. But try to put them in when you have a sale. If you have a big platform sale coming up for your app and you know that you're gonna advertise it, you're gonna post on Twitter, talk to your community about that sale specifically, launch your A/B test then so you get enough people through the funnel so you can actually get your results. Utilize that smartly because it's the statistical insignificance is usually due to not enough people actually coming through your funnel. So A/B test everything, literally everything, if your app is not performing to your expectations.
I think what I would say to that, and you guys may add your own points of wisdom, that actually it's a new store, absolutely, and I think everyone's a bit like, oh my God, Meta's changed their store, but it's an open store. It's kind of like it's going to operate in a similar way to Steam or any other open store, and there's enough information out there, on the web that will offer so much advice, whether it's from A/B testing to anything else. It's kind of, it's new and it's changed significantly from what it was before. But it's kind of, if you've worked in games for a while, it's not new, and actually it's giving us a huge amount more opportunity out there, which is important to remember. And I think as much as the store has changed as well, the thing we need to bear in mind and keep in mind, which is really important, potentially more important, is like the audience continues to change. We've seen this in VR over the last couple of years. New audiences have sprung up, and that's as important to get your head around as well as the new store, and making sure that you are, constantly aware of this change and looking at what people are playing, what's in the store, and then also how are those successes, what are they doing to make their game a success? It's not rocket science, although it is rocket science because you need a publisher. So remember, it's rocket science. It's really, there's no way you can learn it. But, I think you can learn a lot from what people are doing out there, because, there are some simple things that you don't always do and you don't always think of. So, crib from the best in a way. So.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add, but obviously you can sign up with a publisher and we can help you with that. So that's my main advice. No, but jokes aside, I think, it will probably be more closer to Steam and other open stores. I think I'm just hypothesizing here because I think the dust has yet to settle. Like, we don't quite understand how it's going to work now, but how much is going to be editorial, how much is going to be algorithmic, and how can you kind of navigate around that? I think we have yet to figure out that, but I think we can say for sure that there's going to be a huge part of the traffic is going to be off-platform. So you can't rely as much on getting featuring, for example. Work a lot more with all the tactics that we have employed for a long time as publishers. And just, it had to invest a lot more probably. It's going to be harder to kind of get above the noise, so to speak.
Yeah, from my perspective, because things are still changing, as Patrick just said, one important thing for all of you to do is actually keep in touch with other developers, keep talking about these things, and try to find what exactly is the point to believe what's going to happen, because nobody knows. But one big thing that, at least at Creature, we're starting to talk to our own partners, is to focus more in building the communities. So each studio, it's probably more work for you, I'm sorry. Each studio, each project, we're now suggesting people to build their own Discord. So when they have fans go to their Discord and they can play builds, give feedback, they get excited about the new project. One of our partners, Functronic Labs, the developers from the Live Brigade, they have a huge Discord community, really hardcore fans. So every time, they release an update and something goes wrong, they have fans to defend them. Oh no, these guys are always update the game, they're gonna fix it. So there's a lot of, I think the English word is grassroots things you can do. Again, it's more work for you, sadly, but you shouldn't be expecting the Meta to do your market anyway. So the best thing you can do is really build communities around your products, because these people, they're gonna help you a lot. When your game is coming out, when you need more feedback, or you're trying to have a better chance to be in front of other people, that's the people that are gonna be really passionate about your product. So yeah, sorry, market people, more work for you.
But that's why we're here.
Thanks to our panelists today. They're going to be around after this, so feel free to come up to them, either in the back or outside. So thank you.